Welcome to Create Your Vibrant Life podcast, and welcome to a brand new year, 2022. Here we come. So in today's episode, I'm going to be talking about how do you set up your 2022 to be a success despite all the circumstances that are going on in the world. There's a lot of tumultuousness happening right now, as you may already see it and realize. And how do you still make this a successful year? So stay tuned, and I am so delighted you are here. If you're brand new to these episodes, I invite you to go and listen to all of them starting from the beginning. Or if you are a listener who has been listening to all these episodes right from the beginning, welcome back. I know that I haven't been very consistent in the last couple of months. But this year, I'm committing to serving you from my heart and giving you information that is going to be transformative. So welcome and stay tuned.
Hello, visionaries. Welcome to Create Your Vibrant Life podcast, where you can create the life you desire by tapping into your inner wisdom. I'm your host, Padma Ali. I'm widely known in the field of psychology to create long-lasting transformation. And now, I'm here to help you create the life you desire using a combination of neuropsychology and ancient healing practices. This podcast is for you, evolved, overachieving leader who's ready to unlock your highest potential. I'm here to guide you through a process of self-discovery to be the creator of your destiny. And you can do all of that by just taking aligned actions, tapping into the power of your brain, your inner wisdom, and ancient practices. So stay tuned, folks. I am so delighted you are here.
Hello, visionaries. How are you all? This is your host, Padma Ali. And today's episode is titled Set Up 2022 for Success. You know, as we start this new year, I'm seeing, I don't follow the news. If you followed me for long enough, you know I'm not a big fan of following news and getting inundated with things that are coming through the media, but I do keep track of what's happening, and I'm noticing how much unrest there is. In many ways, sometimes I feel like I'm in a little bubble in the middle of Arizona, like with nothing around. Like the whole town is like 20 miles long, probably at the most. And so in some ways it feels like a little bubble, but I know that there's a lot happening in the world and there's a lot of unrest. I'm not oblivious to that. However, one of the things I wanted to bring to all of you is how to not operate from circumstances. How do you create success despite the circumstances that are happening in the world? Because there will always be things happening there's always things happening, whether it's on a global level, whether it's on a personal level within your own life. Things are always going to be happening. So how do you operate from possibilities and not from circumstances? So this episode is about steps that will help you set up this year for success. So the place I'm going to invite you all to start with, oh, by the way, if you hear echo or if it feels kind of this audio quality is not the best, as you may know, we moved into our permanent home recently, but because of all the things happening in the world, we don't have very much furniture because everything is backlogged. So I don't have a room which doesn't have the less echoey quality to it because there is no furniture, and furniture tends to buffer the sounds. And so if you hear echo, if the sound quality is kind of like a little off, this is why. it is the way it is. And as you know me, if you've been following me for any length of time, I am not a perfectionist by any means. And so I just let things be. I just let life be the way it is. And the time I'm recording this podcast, I have a full house. I have my family visiting, and there can be noise in the background. And so it is what it is. So thank you for allowing me to be myself. And I hope this also allows you to be you wherever you are in your life, because perfection doesn't exist. All right, I'm going to bring it back to the episode. How do you set up this year for success? First of all, what does success mean to you? Because success for each person is going to have a different definition, different meaning. And this is where getting clarity about what is success. Because if you don't have a clear vision, you are going to keep doing things and not get anywhere, because you may not even know what you're working towards. So the first place I'm going to invite you to start with is, what does success mean to you specifically? And then comes intention. Again, intention is a very powerful way to operate. I talk a lot about intention. If you haven't listened to any of my past episodes on these topics, please go ahead. Please make time to listen to the previous episodes, especially if you're new to me. Not that every episode builds on one another, but it'll give you a sense of the whole journey rather than just starting off from here. The reason intention is so important. Let me back up here. When I was planning for this episode, one of the things I wanted to look at was, what is the definition of intention? And why is intention so powerful? Why is it so important, especially when you're trying to create something? The definition, the Webster definition of intention is the thing you plan to do or achieve. Aim or purpose. The thing you plan to do or achieve, aim or purpose. What intention does, it paves the way for anything you want to create. So this is where it starts with, what is it that you want? So what are you defining as success for you? How many people don't put the time into thinking about what they want? Most people spend their time thinking about what they don't want. Now, if everything is just energy, what do you think happens when we keep thinking about the things that we don't want, or we plan for failures, or we plan for the storm? Recently, 2 people used this phrase with me. They said this is something that they have heard throughout their life, and I'm probably going to paraphrase it because I can't remember the exact quote that they used, but it is something to the extent of plan for success, but prepare for the worst, or something to that extent. If you know exactly what quote, it's a very popular quote, like prepare for the worst. You can plan for success, but you have to prepare for the worst. And that, in many ways, is a broken strategy. Because when you are planning for success, but you're preparing for the worst, what is the energy you're putting out there? The energy is that of, I am going to prepare for the things to go wrong. So most people don't spend time thinking about what is it that they want. But you may be different, because there's a reason you're attracted to my podcast, and there's a reason I call you visionary, because most visionaries are planners. They think ahead. They think about what is it that they want to create. So you may already know what you want to create, but what I'm going to invite you to do, I'm going to give you certain steps on how you can get very clear and make sure you're aligned with your vision for this year. So if you haven't already, put in the time to get clear, super clear, crystal clear about what is it that you would like to attract into your life this year. And I'm using the word attract for a reason. You have to also put in the work, but it starts with a vision. Because a person without a vision is often just lost. I mean, think about this. When you decide what you want, you will find a way to make this happen. Most humans are resourceful. Think about a time in your life where you are like, every door feels like it's closing in on me. We've all had those experiences. Then suddenly something opens up. You meet somebody or an opportunity comes out of the blue. Something opens up just when you feel like, nothing is working out. We humans are resourceful beings. But you have to get clear about what you want. Otherwise, you're going to be going in circles or you're going to be preparing for the worst. And you get to decide, do you want to be lost or do you want to live an abundant life in all areas of your life, whether it's your relationship, whether it is a home that you want, whatever it is. So allow yourself to take some time to plan for that vision of what you want to see happen this year. And speaking of vision, I'm planning some really good content for you guys this year. And I'm going to be talking about some of my most favorite topics, which is neuropsychology, spirituality, inner wisdom. We're talking a lot about leadership, about money, because money seems to be like a common theme I'm hearing from people, whether you have a lot of money or whether you don't, or whether it's all, we're going to be talking a lot about that. I'm going to leave it at that for right now. But what I'm going to invite you to, I'm thinking aloud. You know, I don't make notes when I'm recording these sessions. What I'm going to invite you all to do, if you have specific topics you would like me to talk more about, please email them to support@padmaali.com, support@padmaali.com. And they will get the questions. My team will get the questions to me, and we will do episodes. So please make sure to share your name and whatever you want to ask specifically, and I will address those topics in the podcast. Okay, so speaking of vision again, when you are writing your vision, I'm also going to be sharing with you how to get clarity around your vision. So vision is something that you are using your imagination to create. Now, why is that important? You're listening to me on a device. You're probably listening to me using your headphones. You probably may be driving. You may be sitting and listening on a bed. Whatever it is that you're doing, and you're listening to me, or whatever you have around you, whatever it is, from a pen to a bed to a rocket ship, everything was created in the mind first. It was created using imagination, every bit of it. Someone imagined the phone that you're listening to me from, the computer you're listening to me from, the car that you're driving, all the comforts of the car that you're driving, the pen that you may be writing, everything, the clothes you're wearing. Can you see how everything was created in someone's mind using imagination? Like Einstein said, imagination is the preview of I'm paraphrasing, I forget the last part, but something about imagination is the preview of the life you want to create or the life that is to come. Imagination is how we create. But most of us lose our imaginative abilities as we grow older because we are told that the analytical mind is more powerful than the imaginative mind, which is BS. It is, because imagination is tapping into universal consciousness. It's tapping into intuition. It is tapping into something that you cannot comprehend with your analytical mind. When the analytical mind steps in, what it starts to do is get into, how are you going to make this happen? Have you considered A, B, C, and D? And how are you going to get the money for funding or whatever BS starts to come in with that. That is your analytical mind. Now, don't get me wrong. Analytical mind has a place in everything. I use my analytical mind. I had to use my analytical mind to record this podcast. There's a place for the analytical mind, but when the analytical mind is not in balance with your imaginative mind, it is going to drive you in circles, which means you're going to get nowhere. You're going to stop yourself from working on your vision even before your vision gets off the ground. So my invitation to you, use your imagination, go beyond your analytical mind. Don't focus on the how, focus on what you want. What does your soul desire? Think about a time in your life where maybe you were watching a sunset. Or maybe you were sitting on a mountaintop and just peaceful, like there was nothing around you. And just taking in the beauty of that moment. You were just in that present moment. Nothing existed around you other than that particular moment. That is when your vision starts to come to life. There's like a sense of deep clarity. There's a sense of peace. So find that space within you and just write it down for right now. Don't even, how do I put this? Without thinking, what if you allowed yourself to just write down everything you desire? Without thinking, how can I do that? How can I not do that? Is this going to happen? Will I have the resources? How will I find that? Without even going into any of that, can you allow yourself to create a vision? Can you allow yourself to dream and dream big? You know, it's a joke in our family because I am the visionary in my household and my husband's very analytical. I mean, he has this very creative side to him. He does photography it's just part of his nature. He loves photography. He has a very creative side, but he leans on every day. His job is a tech job, and he loves what he does. And he's amazing at what he does, and he's very analytical. And it's a standing joke between us. If I'm always like dreaming big, and some of my visions can feel a little out there to someone, including my husband. So when I would go to him, I'd be like, I have this amazing idea, and his first questions often to me are like, well, have you thought of XYZ? Have you done market research? I'm like, no, and I don't want to do market research, and don't ask me about market research on this. I'm just dreaming. Allow me to dream. We laugh about it, we joke about it. So now when I go to him, I tell him, please suspend your analytical thinking. I just want to share this amazing, brilliant idea that I have, and it makes me so happy to share this idea. Can you just listen? So this is how we work through it, but it's really funny because he's like that. Most of my family's like that. I kind of am very different in that way. And we all just laugh about it. This is how I think, and this is how they think. It's fine. We need both of that to create. But think about Elon Musk. If you had come up with the idea, think about him. Like, I think let's just go there for a second. Suspending all personal judgments about him or whatever you have. Just forget all of those things, but just look at what he's creating, right? Is he thinking like, oh, that is not possible. I can't send this rocket ship to outer space right now because I don't have all the things defined, right? So again, if you can start to think about how can I use my creative thinking? How can I use my imagination right now? That will give you a clarity of your vision. So now I'm going to lay it down in steps for those of you who are analytical thinkers, because a lot of you who listen to my podcast tend to be analytical thinkers. So here are the steps. Number 1, get super clear on what you want. The second step, notice any blocks. What do I mean by blocks? So if you told me, say I'm just going to use this because this is a very concrete example, and many of you can relate to concrete examples. So say you're making $300,000 a year, and you have a desire to make $1 million a year. And you say, okay, you put in your vision board. You say $1 million a year. Notice how it feels in your body. I'm only using money as an example because it's very concrete and a lot of you can relate to that. Notice how it feels in your body when you say, I am making $1 million a year. How does it feel in your body? Your body will tell you if you are in alignment with that goal or if you're not in alignment with that goal. Okay, forget the money. You can even do it as, say you're seeking a relationship and you've had failures. I'm using the word failure very loosely in quotes. Failure after failure after failure in relationships. You haven't sustained a loving, lasting relationship, and you're like, most relationships haven't lasted more than 6 months for you, and you're like, I desire to have a loving, long-term partner. How does that feel in your body? Because how it feels in your body is going to tell you if there are any blocks, if you're in alignment or not. If you're in complete alignment, it will just feel expansive. It will feel exciting. If it is not that way, then something is misaligned. You're not in complete alignment with that goal. Now, why is this important? If you're not in alignment with your goal, most of your reptilian brain, which is what we resort to immediately in crisis, and that is what keeps us, that's the survival brain. And when you set, I'm going to call them lofty goals, according to your reptilian brain, it's going to kick into high gear, which means it's going to reject your vision unconsciously. You may think you're working towards that vision. You may get on dating sites and you may start to go out on dates, but your reptilian brain is going to sabotage that path without you even realizing it. This is why clearing those blocks are going to be very important. Like, for example, I was speaking to somebody who was, I was speaking to someone and he was very interested in creating or being in a different position in his company, and he wanted a home. But when I asked him to go into the vision where he landed, I'm thinking about how do I phrase this without divulging too much information. The places he went to was more about how that would not be possible for him. But not in so many words directly saying it's not possible, but giving all kinds of reasons why it might take a long time and it might not happen this year. And how is this even possible? All those things. Those are your reptilian brain speaking, saying it doesn't believe that you can make this happen. So step number 3 for you is to clear those blocks. Now, I'm going to give you some options of how you can clear those blocks by yourself because, and I don't know how successful you may or may not be, but it's possible you can work on yourself using some of these tools. But these are things that I do with my clients. I teach them techniques where they can clear these blocks effectively, efficiently. The moment you see them, you clear them out. Now, one of the ways that I'm going to share with you how you can clear those blocks is noticing where it shows up in your body, right? The moment you realize where it's showing up in your body, you can start to either write down if you wear that feeling or sensation in your body, you go into that and write down whatever comes through you about that sensation in your body. So for example, let me give you an example. I think that may be easier for me to explain this. So one of the things I was noticing, this year I'm investing a lot into my business because I want to reach as many people as I can through my work, because that's my mission in this lifetime. I'm very clear on what I want to do in this lifetime. My purpose in this lifetime, my dharma, is to awaken people, awaken myself and awaken people, and evolve myself and evolve others. That is very clear, which means I need to reach a lot of people. So I've been doing a lot of investing into my business. But as I was investing, I was noticing fears coming up. And I was like, what is this about? It didn't make any sense to me. Now, again, this is my process, right? So I dug deeper, I go into it. And when I'm working with that fear, internal fear, I realized it was coming from my childhood. It was coming from money fears that I had as a young child, absorbing information from my environment. I'm going to digress just a little bit here, but it is going to be very valuable for you. It is off topic, but it is actually completely on topic as well. So I was at a workshop done by Dr. Bruce Lipton. If you don't know who he is, go look him up. Dr. Bruce Lipton. He has written a book called Biology of Beliefs. It was one of his first books. He's written many other books since then. Now, the latest one, I think, is called The Honeymoon Effect. He's a very, very, very interesting man. And he's a scientist, and he speaks a lot about how the cells, he speaks about epigenetics and how genes don't get activated because of genes, but because of the environment that the gene is surrounded by. So it's a very radical way of thinking, but it's very, very powerful. So how did I get on him? Okay. How did I get there? You can see, right? Sometimes this is my squirrel brain. It goes all over the place. Okay, I'll bring it back in a second. So I was in that workshop. And as I was listening to him, there it is. Okay, so one of the things he was talking about, which I have learned in my years and years of experience as a therapist in the psychology field, was that things that happen under the age of 7 leave imprints. Most of our beliefs are formed before the age of 7 or 8 because we are walking, talking, unconscious mind. So anything and everything that you see in your environment, you're going to absorb that. And if you don't have a context for it, you're going to make your own beliefs about it. So as a child, for me, my experience around money and all that was that of survival and scarcity, and all of those things were coming up because I was doing something that my reptilian brain was considered as a threat. The investment in my business, things that, my business has been growing rapidly and amazingly well, which is fabulous. I'm so grateful for that. And it's allowing me to reach a lot of people, but it also means you're investing more and more into the business. My reptilian brain is freaking out because it doesn't know what to do with this growth. It hasn't caught up to it. So what happens when I was investing, when I was doing something outside of alignment with the reptilian brain, it starts to kick into high gear, right? And so that's how the block was showing up, as fear. And as I clear these blocks, I'm going to share with you one of the ways to clear it in for yourself. It allowed me to move through it. And that's it. That's all you need to keep doing. Notice your vision. Notice if there are any blocks. Notice if you're in alignment with your vision or not. And if you are not, clear it and move on to the next step. So how do you clear it? So one of the ways to clear it is to write down whatever that sensation you're experiencing in your body. Your body never lies. It's going to tell you exactly what is holding you back. So free flow of consciousness, keep writing it down till something clicks. And the way I do it is you can set a timer for 10 minutes and allow your pen to keep writing and writing and writing till something starts to click. All right. And the work that I do with my clients, one of the work that I do is inner child work. Because again, like if I traced it back to my childhood, this is where it started. So I go in there and I clear those blocks using some of the techniques, like the inner child work is one of the techniques and energy work is another way I do it. And then we move on. So number 4 step, hopefully that's clear. If it isn't, feel free to write to me. Reach me on Instagram, DM me there, or you can just write to me at support@padmaali.com and my team will send the email over to me. So the next step is to write down your vision. Now, when you have clarity, write down your whole vision. Write down what you want to create in 2022. The 5th step is to either create a vision board, a physical vision board that you can see, or you can even do a digital vision board. Anything that you want, but something that you are going to be looking at every single day. I create both the physical vision board and I create one on my phone. And there's so many free sites out there where you can create your vision board. And it's a screensaver on my phone. So I keep looking at it every time I pick up my phone. Unconsciously, I'm looking at my vision. It's a funny story, but last year I was doing my vision board, January of last year, and I was like, I want to go visit Sedona. So as I was doing it, and I was doing it with my kids, it was a fun project that we were doing together, and he's like, Sedona, I want to go visit too. So he put Sedona on his vision board, and I put Sedona on my vision board, just as a visiting, let's go visit. Lo and behold, 8 months later, we're living there. Who would have thought that? But it's really fun, to see your visions come to life. And I can tell you, either all my visions have come to life or they're in the process of coming to life. And it's really fun to do it that way. So your 5th step is to create a vision board. And do it however works for you. There is no right or wrong way to do this. And number 6, one of the most important aspects of creating your vision for this year to allow it to be a successful 2022 is, are you ready for it? Take aligned actions. You may have heard me say this before. Aligned actions equals powerful results. You have to take action. What you're creating in your mind and your imagination is in the higher dimensions, if I may call it that way. And the aligned actions are in the physical world, in the 3D world. As above, so below. As below, so above. You have to have a balance of what you're creating in your mind and what actions you're taking to make that creation come to life. Take aligned actions. Now, aligned actions can be anything. It may be a flash of contact this person. I haven't talked to this person in 10 years, but contact them. That is taking aligned actions. Talk to that person. Reach out to them. Or aligned action might be explore, go and do research on this topic. That's aligned actions. It might be apply for this job. It might be get on a dating site. Could be any of those things depending on what your vision is. Listen to those intuitive nudges and take action. Because unless you take actions, these things are not going to come into fruition. So those are your 6 steps. Get clear on what you want. Notice any blocks, number 2. Number 3, clear those blocks. Number 4, write down on your vision board. Number 5, create your vision board. And number 6, take aligned actions. And that brings us to creating whatever you want in 2022. Another few things that I do personally, which is very effective for me, is once I have this vision for 2022, I break it down into quarters, because each quarter I have specific goals that is going to lead me to the bigger goal by the end of the year. And again, the whole point is you set your vision, you start taking actions. If you need to pivot, if you need to change, if you need to make course corrections, you will do it along the way. But you have to start somewhere, and the starting is the most important piece. And having these quarterly goals are like a checkpoint saying, how am I doing with this? Am I getting to where I want to go? The last piece I also wanted to just share with you before we wrap up for today is do a review of 2021. Just reflect back and see what worked for you, what didn't. What changes needs to happen from 2021 that you can take into 2022? What worked for you? Did you find out more about yourself last year that you can apply to this year? And this is a very powerful thing to do, because when you have more understanding of yourself, you are going to be able to do more this year and be the kind of person you want to be. The ultimate goal is to be the best version of you. So whatever will take you to that place. So that brings us to the end of this episode. I am so grateful for you. I invite you to share this episode with your friends and family, with people that are important to you. And also, please do write a review as a way of us having some reciprocity. Me sharing this is a way to give back to all of you. And if you can do a little bit back from me by writing a review, I would so appreciate that. It's not for me. It is to reach as many more people as we possibly can to help this planet wake up. Wake up. We need to all wake up. It is really scary what's happening. I'm going to digress. I was just watching some ocean documentary, and I'm like, oh my God, ocean is being depleted. We humans are plundering this planet. And so we need to wake up. And the more we can raise our consciousness and our vibration, the more we're going to take mindful actions of how we're choosing to live on this planet that we call our home. So I invite you to share this and write a review so we can reach as many more people as we possibly can. And I'm so grateful for you. I'm so grateful for you. And I will see you in the next episode. Take care of yourself. I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you so much for listening. I have a request for you. If you found value, chances are that your friends and family will too. So if you can leave a positive review on iTunes, it will help reach so many more people. And if you have any topics or questions you would like me to feature, please send them to support@padmaali.com. And lastly, please share your takeaways and breakthroughs with me on Instagram @Padma Ali. Thank you so much for tuning in.